Hello everyone. Welcome to the restart of our last day about Topia. For those of you who are not familiar with this initiative that we started, as an organization, we started wondering what we could bring to the situation regarding the network that we have of creative and cultural spaces and the people that we have that are very engaged also in taking action and doing something about this. So one of the things that we decided, besides the Ukrainian displaced people that will need some support, also the creative hubs and all the cultural spaces that are welcoming Ukrainians coming from the very vulnerable and delicate situation and welcoming in their spaces. They should also get some training on practices on what's the best way to address this and the best way to welcome people regarding that they're not just traditional digital nomads coming to a new place. So we, in the past two editions, we invited already people that were dealing with refugee situations in the past, some from the Greek example, from the Middle Eastern refugees, and we already had as well one of our members from Moldova who's already welcoming Artcorp, who are already welcoming, so they were also telling how it went for them, the things they had to account for, the things they did not expect. So this was sharing stories and asking questions and opening the discussion for also the hub managers and spaces that want to do something about it, but still they feel like they don't have the tools or the knowledge to deal with this. So today we're going to do a little bit a different take, because we have two of our Ukrainian creative hubs. We have Mykhailo from Lem Station, now from IZONE, sorry, and we have Gregory from Lem Station. So they're going to tell us first a little bit about their own spaces, how they operate, what's the story of their spaces, and they're going to tell us a little bit of the story of how they adapted to the situation. And we'll take it from then, and then everyone is welcome to participate and ask your questions and contribute to the discussion. So, you too.
Okay. Hello. I hope you had nice rest and a little bit of beer, and you're ready to continue. I'm pretty sure you were overwhelmed by all the information you got in the first session. So we'll try to keep it a bit more practical, and I will try to keep my presentation shorter. It's funny, today is actually a really important day in the history of our organization, and it's a nice coincidence that we are here today talking about it. It's 8 years since we actually were forced to talk about this topic, because our place in Donetsk was taken over. So we are an organization that was established in Donetsk. It's a big city, and big industrial city in the east of Ukraine. More than 1 million people live in coal mine industry, metal factories, heavy industry, a lot of stuff. This is the territory, this huge former insulation materials factory that we turned into what essentially became Creative Hub. Back in 2012, we didn't know what Creative Hub is, and as yesterday we had this at Vasily's presentation, it's still a question. What is Creative Hub and how to define it properly. Back in 2012, we called it Creative Village. We had a big territory, we had a lot of empty spaces, and we decided to give it for free to people working in creative industries, working in social business, something that will suit our priorities and our values. Also it has a huge swag hill. For those who don't know what is it, it's a mountain, human-made hill made of soil that is dug from the mine. And this region actually is really interesting. The Belgium, Charleroi, not so far away from here, is a brother city of Donetsk because it has huge mining. And I was studying a school which had some connections with Charleroi, and I had like Charleroi everywhere, like people who study French, and it's really interesting to be here right now. Yeah, so this place had become one of the major and one of the first big cultural centers in general in Ukraine, but more importantly for us in the East. We did so many things. I can start and it will last forever. Concerts, exhibitions, residencies, everything was made on site with site specificity. So we did projects in local context. We almost never brought ready-made art, so we would invite artists to work and to talk to people, to get community engaged in the project, and it worked really well. But unfortunately in 2014, exactly 8 years ago, on 9th of June, the place was taken over by Russian military. You see this art piece by Pascal Martin Taillou, Belgian artist. It was destroyed. They blew it up, and they filmed it on video, and we found the video online. So we moved to Kiev and we started a new creative hub, and this is 2014, where this term started to be coined and people started to talk about this creativity, creative industries, and this is a shipyard, Kiev shipyard. We see there are some boats. I had really funny experience. We invited journalists to film documentary about us, and they wanted to shoot a little bit of a river, and security guard said, "You are probably investigators trying to shoot rich people's yachts," and they actually called the police for us. It was a really interesting experience. But this is our building, 4-story building with a lot of everything. You see, it's 2,500 square meters. A lot of studios. We also engage other buildings outside. So we have this print shop here, podcast recording studio, communal garden, everything. A lot of stuff. And yeah, this is the way it used to be. It's when we came, it wasn't used as a part of shipyard. It was already rented out to some guys smuggling stuff from across the border. Also, a really interesting story. But we turned it into this co-working space, exhibition spaces, studios. We did a lot of different projects, including educational projects for creative economy, creative enterprise, together with British Council, for example, other projects. Goethe Institute, for example, we hosted a lot of festivals, again, connected with startups and creative startups. So it was a big project there. You see a lot of studios. We had the Fab Lab, film printing studio, ECHN studio, a lot of things, concerts. And what's really important that by 2018 we actually became self-sustainable. So we had a separate team inside the building which was organizing events, providing different services, and this was enough to make the space run sustainably at one side, and then use all the income to invest back into cultural projects. So we have two organizations. One is IZONE, which is for-profit commercial entity that was selling the building for different events and services. And the second one is Izolatia, which is this cultural. Oh, okay, we're out of. No, electricity is power that. Censorship, yeah. So, okay, I will continue meanwhile. So,
acoustic is good here.
Yes.
Yes.
This is why is the shape.
Okay. We have this camera; it has to be recorded, Okay. So it became sustainable, and it was really nice before COVID started. So when COVID hit us, the main income was, of course, coming from the event industry. It was a big shock for us, but we managed to survive, and it was the second time that we had to reconsider what we were doing and to start from scratch and rethink about our model. But then, this is not a funny thing. Just 3 months ago, we were attacked and we lost the space again, so it doesn't exist anymore. We managed to take our stuff from it. Of course, all the equipment, all the artworks, everything is safe. Fortunately, the building is okay, but we no longer can use it, unfortunately. But what was really important for our work is that a couple of years ago we decided to invest into decentralization. There was really a successful reform in Ukraine that was dedicated to decentralization. A lot of smaller communities were built, created new city councils, a lot of new cultural departments begin to exist. And these people had money because before the money would be sent to capital, now money are staying in the communities. And this process is really interesting. So we started to develop things. We have this bus. The bus is moving exhibition space, creative hub, and a lot of other things inside. So we started to bring it to different places, to different smaller communities, to educate them about what they can do, to show them that they can earn money through the power of their creativity and other things. Lectures, library, all this stuff. And what was really important, that this program was built together with local communities. So we actually divided the program in halves. They had half of the program implemented by us, another half of the program implemented by local cultural organizations or groups or whatever. It's really cool. And the last thing that a year ago we moved our office to one of the smaller communities. The city of Solidar, it's a city in the east of Ukraine. It actually hosts the salt mine. It's the biggest salt mine, and most of the salt is coming from this salt mine. It's really cool. There is a lot of other small enterprises built on the basis of the salt, different productions of souvenirs or whatever. The salt again. Yeah, we started to develop this place. So we opened the office and started to work with local communities. So this year we had to develop a project with the help of EU mission to Ukraine, European Union mission to Ukraine, to reconstruct local house of culture, to bring the program into this house of culture. And the program itself is more than €1 million, which is pretty nice. But unfortunately, of course, this never came to reality. Some links. This never came to reality, but this brings me to the question: what is happening now to us, and what is happening now in general to creative sector in Ukraine? And of course, this is something that we will discuss afterwards. But all the cultural organizations have now turned into communitarian organization. Everyone is trying to help, to provide as much support as possible. So we use this €1 million. We're still using, not it's still in process with the, of course, European Union agreed to this, but we're using this money to support the smaller communities that we've been working with before. So now we have this network of smaller cities, smaller communities that we visited at some point, and we are helping them with different stuff, which is really unexpected. Now we're buying beds, like refrigerators and washing machines. We are basically helping these communities to build places where they can host internally displaced people, because obviously these cities don't have capacity to immediately accept, like hundreds of thousands new people. And this is something that we are trying to help them do. But of course, it's not like this. It's also medicine, food, and it's really crazy. But this is one of the main things that a lot of cultural organizations are doing right now. But apart from this, of course, it's support for cultural players, because artists and cultural professionals became really vulnerable in this situation. So, for example, right now we have launched a sub-granting scheme for Ukrainian organizations or individuals that they can apply for money to do some small projects in Ukraine, again to support themselves and to have some cultural products as the outcome. Yeah, what's also really important that, of course, our history is long and complicated, but last year there was a really similar, in a way, situation that happened with artists and cultural professionals from Belarus, who were also forced to leave their country, and a lot of them we were collaborating with, and they were good friends of Ukraine. So we used our space to host some of these people in our place in Kiev. What was also really interesting and could be helpful for you as a suggestion is that we provided them with administrative help, because they didn't have bank accounts, they didn't have an organization. So when they applied for some funding to organize some projects, they didn't have the opportunity to do this, and we acted as a middleman in this project, applied for them for grants and provided them with our bank accounts to then transfer money to them, which was really helpful, I think. And of course, together with other cultural organizations, we provided them a space where they can be hosted. So when the invasion started here on 24th of February, we had kind of a draft program for what we can do now. So a lot of our partner organizations who are helping with the space, they were meeting people, they were providing them with residences and so on. So yeah, but this is something that we will probably just talk about during the discussion. Okay, so thank you, and I'm bringing the mic.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Gregory. I'm a project manager for Creative Innovative Hub in Lviv, Ukraine, LEM Station. So today I would want to run you through the history of the project, how it came to be, our revitalization process, what our creative space did before the war, and how it turned to be what we're doing now during the war already. So the history of the project is that this is an old tram depot that was based in the end of the 19th century. Then during the beginning of the 20th century it was built up with the central hangar, the right hangar was built also, and then in the 1986 the compressor station was built to facilitate the underground metro that was never came to be built by the Soviets. So this is the conceptual visualization of the process. You can see the hangars here, also the space behind. This is how the whole hangar looked like in 2016 when we got the hangar in our operation. This is how it looked only 3 weeks afterwards. So in 2014, Lviv was picking up a new strategy of development for the city, and partly developed by our CEO, Mykhailo, and also by some of our investors in the project. They decided to go with the creative development of the city, with the creative economy, highly influenced by Richard Florida's writing of the creative cities. And LEM Station is just the continuation of this process, showing how old buildings that look like this can soon become something that looks like this. Now I'd like to show a quick video, just the time lapse of the creation of this. Let's see. Okay. Three weeks. Two weeks. Three days. Sorry if it was a little bit too long. So this is a Mozart Festival, the first event that is basically showing the start of the LAMP station. For the last 5 years, even 6 years, we were mainly an event space. We already had more than 75,000 unique people coming to our location with over 250 events. This was the start, and there was a lot of continuation afterwards. So LAMP Station is the event space and a creative hub dedicated to Stanislav Lem. This is a world-renowned science fiction writer, futurologist, and a great philosopher who lived a big chunk of his life in Lviv, Ukraine. You might know him by the writings of the book Solaris. Basically, he was very famous for his sharp mind, and he was also very self-cynical and funny in this evil kind of way. So we would like to get a little bit of inspiration from that. So our mission is to make change by creating opportunities, basically giving opportunities to all the creatives to meet the like-minded people and develop and grow their full potential to the fullest. Basically, we give them the space, we give them the energy, and we let them meet the other people that can fulfill their full capacities. So a big part of the process that we're going through in the last 3 years was the revitalization. We divided the revitalization process in 3 stages. The total territory is almost 7,000 square meters, so that's quite massive. We started with the first stage. That was, the timeline is going to be a little bit later still. Then the second stage is the hangars, and the third stage is the compressor station that I told you briefly already about. So this is also the visualization of the space, how it's going to look like. So the first stage is the co-working space, the commercial building, gastro hub, and the Tiki Square with the amphitheater. This is just a concept of the co-working space, how it's going to look like. Networking zone, the central hangar, food court area, media hub, meetup zones, that's already in the second stage. Also the right hangar, that's the event space that will be sitting 300 to 400 people. We have the maker space, that would be a 3-story building with creatives that like to create something with their own hands, physical objects. They will have the opportunity to create it there. And the LAMP Square, a huge square that we want to incorporate together with the city infrastructure, help the trams to run there easily, and to make an open space without any boundaries, without any fences, just open space for all the people of the city. And the third stage is the compressor station, which is going to be an art center. Since we are inspired by Stanislav Lem and we want to take our niche, we are focusing on art and science and media art, something on the verge of arts and science to bring the future to life and look a little bit how it's going to be running in the future. So I was meeting up with a colleague of mine just 3 or 4 days ago before arriving to Brussels. He's our interior designer / architect. We were walking around all the creative spaces of Warsaw. We went to like 4 of those, and we always had like this little depressed mood, like talking about this creative hub, but sort of in the past, and we didn't like it at all. So we made a deal with ourselves that then for the next couple of hours, we're pretending that we're living in pre-24th of February. So, and let's talk about the future like we planned it before, instead of trying to be realistic or something. So I'm going to run you through the previous timeline. So the Mozart event 2016, 2018 we get the signature from the Electrotrons. This is the company that was actually operating and holding this, that brought the location to this dire state. Also, the reconstruction began in 2020 in October, and already commissioning stage 1 was supposed to be launched this June. So the co-working, etc. Then commissioning stage 2 December 22, and then by June 2023 the whole process was supposed to be launched, and we were supposed to be completely open. So a little bit about recycling, restoration, reuse, repurpose. We try to leave the most authentic look to the building. Since we are renting it out from the city for 50 years, we're trying to, first of all, we have obligations, and second of all, we have to leave the space as authentic as it was before with a complete restoration. So you can see restoration of the gates, all the doors. We're not building any extra floors, not making any extra space that isn't supposed to be there. We've preserved more than 1,000 artifacts. All of them are being labeled, numbered, put into the system, and we're waiting for our designers, architects, and creatives to find a new meaning for them, either to use them by purpose or to find a new purpose for them. So also in the compressor station that is now we are using as the logistics place, we created a pilot makerspace to test some hypotheses, but also we've invited 7 teams of people that were just gathered around us by chance, and those people are working on their own projects as well as helping us to restore, recreate some artifacts and make new meanings to it. Also, they were supposed to do lectures, workshops, but since the project was launched January this year, not much was done since. All of those people are now working in our volunteer team and working for the humanitarian needs. So a little bit of pictures of land before war. I already mentioned that more than 250 events. We normally focused on creative events, gastronomical events, events for children, business events, well, parties, obviously, classical music, jazz, etc. Many people went through our space, and a lot of people really gave us the feedback every time after the event, and we always considered it. Also to be noted, since we weren't paying the rental for the city yet, we're supposed to start doing it quite soon, all the events were free for people. So we were very picky, and we are picking only the ones that would give the best social impact for us, and also we were building our community. We were always inviting new people, and we are making advocates for our project in case something happens. Maybe the government changes their mind or the city council. So we always have those active, creative people backing us up. Now, just a quick video, an example of a fun party that we had. By Night Ambassadors, which is a great Ukrainian party organization. I think you get the picture. And now we're going to the realism, to today's world, and to 24th of February. I was actually in Lviv on 24th of February, and I was supposed to stay there. So our team, everybody called me in the morning as soon as the shelling started, and they all came to my house for the meeting just to understand what we were supposed to do. And I'll be honest, I was a little, not even a little, I was scared, I was shocked, but the people that were around me, our team, they were very compressed, they knew what to do, sort of. So we right away made a plan, what we're doing with the LEM station, how we're turning it into a humanitarian hub. They already started talking about legal actions, what we need to do. They started talking about which organizations should we contact first. They contacted, in first hours, they contacted the city administration, and basically what we realized that we should do is we continued paying taxes, utilities. We arranged a central hangar with the city administration to be their hub. Right hangar, in first days, we organized as the logistics hub of our own. All the people that were working, that were close to LAMP station became volunteers for our hub. Yeah, also we obviously had to stop all the active projects, contact all the people that everything's being postponed. Yeah, obvious stuff. So the pictures you see here is actually my team members that went to Bucha and Sumy. They just made those pictures, but they were bringing some humanitarian aid. So basically that's how the Angers looked for the last 3 months. So we had 100 volunteers with 10, 15, always on spot. We had previously made the foundation of LAMP Station in order to finance our event projects or some cultural projects. So that came in very handy because now we could use the foundation to the full capacity for humanitarian aid. So actually, the humanitarian aid covers everything that we were doing, plus some military stuff. Also, since we were in tight cooperation with the city council, they were in this hangar right next to us. We were helping out them, they were helping out us. So for example, if there was some trouble bringing it through the border or we needed some help with the police, it was always coming in handy. So just the little numbers. So 3,000 bulletproof vests and plates, 4,000 helmets, 200 tons of humanitarian aid, more than 1,000 first aid kits, 80 thermal imagers, and so on, and still counting on. Mainly, this is all purchased by the investors of the project. We have private investors and their friends, colleagues, and everybody that wanted to help. We are not asking for donations because there are many organizations that are also doing a good job. And if you start choosing from all the organizations, you'll just get confused. So many of them are. We are relying a lot on private investors. And so far, it's working. Just a quick video of us painting the SUV. They decided to make it a little bit fancy, so they put those things. But also culture should be, and music and arts should be also developing, and nobody should forget about those even during the wartime. So we were addressed by the Ukrainian Cultural Front to make a couple of events in our bomb shelter. We have a gigantic bomb shelter, one of the biggest in the city center of Lviv. So we had a series of 5 events so far. The concerts in bomb shelters, which was also streamed online, and obviously all the money went to the armed forces of Ukraine. So for the culture and events, so far we're planning to continue our work with the cultural front. We're planning to continue the grant application that we had issued before. So for now on, the Ukrainian grants are not working the same way as they were, but now we're getting money for those kind of events from European Union and European countries. So we have hope for that. We have applied already, so we're waiting for the response. We are issuing from August a science exhibition with the Small Academy of Science and European Organization of Nuclear Research. The pictures actually are here on the left, which is going to be in our central hangar since the city council is moving out of there. And also we have our central event that we are planning to make already for 3 years or so, the Futurological Congress dedicated to Stanislav Lem's book Futurological Congress. This is supposed to be our central event and the main event of the LAMP station, which is dedicated to art and science, media art, the future of technologies, with philosophers and futurologists debating on those topics, as well as modern exhibitions being presented at our space. So we're hoping we can still make it in year 2022 in October or maybe November. We're still waiting for the funds. We're expecting some support from the artists. Last year we couldn't make it because the COVID hit. Therefore, all the speakers from all around the world that were supposed to be presented are going to be published in a journal dedicated to the event with all the topics. So now we're working on and trying to get funds on publishing all of their research. So that's pretty much it. Making change by creating opportunities, that's our slogan. We hope that we can continue doing that. And good news is that since the place was conserved and preserved for better times, since the 24th, around 2 weeks ago, we took the construction workers back, and we are continuing with the construction of the stage 1, and we're trying to go back on track, hoping for the best. Thank you.
So, first of all, thank you so much, both of you. I think also for all of us in this amazing tour, what you were doing before, the incredible work you were doing with both of your hubs before all of this. And I think all of us are quite impressed with like how it turned out and the response that both of you gave in both of your cases and in this situation. And as I told you before, like we're gonna throw like some topics for now, but I would be very happy if like whoever, because also we have other Ukrainian people here, so they'd be very welcome to participate in the conversation as well, and turn this into more of an open conversation. So as we were speaking about before a little bit, we would, especially because also there's a lot of mostly hub managers in here, and considering the people that had to be displaced, we would like to see from your perspective, what do you think is the way that the hubs in Europe can actually support, can be either directly the people that are displaced, or the hubs that are actually still on the ground doing their work or transforming their work. So I'd like to hear both of your takes on this.
Well, I'm going to be a bit blunt, and I'm just going to say right away that the best that people in Europe can help Ukrainian creatives to adjust is just to help us win the war faster, and then all the people can come back to the creative hubs. That's the best thing. But if we're talking about what Europeans can do within the creative hubs and their capabilities, I think it's important to give people, a lot of people that moved, they want their life back. So they want to do everything that they used to do before, that they're used to, that they're comfortable to, that they're good at. So basically, if there was a really, really good possibility for networks to find those creatives, to really figure out what they were doing before, and to give them all the opportunities to do the same already in Europe or elsewhere, that would be just fantastic. But I don't have the exact answer how to do that.
It's an open answer question.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest difference between this wave of Ukrainian refugees and displaced people in comparing with previous waves is that Ukrainian citizens have a right to work in the European Union right now. And it's a huge difference, of course. And I'm actually really thankful to Rita for the first Lighthouse session when we heard the story from Artcore in Chisinau, because they actually invited a writer from Odessa, and she organized the courses for creative writing. And this is beneficial to everyone, basically, to the artists, from financial point of view, from self-esteem point of view, being needed, and also for the hub, because it creates content for it. And this approach is really great, because it's not only people need some shelter or they're looking for a place to stay, but they also can propose something else in exchange, and this is something that needs to be kept in mind. But this also brings the question how to identify these people and how to make them visible, because on one hand we see the situation that there is quite a lot of cultural professionals who move to European Union, but then we don't know who they are and where they went, and we don't know what they can bring. We know some of the people we're talking with, theater directors, people who ran big festivals, and they were given a chance to work as assistant or something small. And I'm not saying that that any help is good. It's not something that I'm saying people are bad because they're not given jobs good enough. But these people have a lot of potential. They can bring it to your organization. They can organize a big festival. It's a lot of potential and capacity that they can also bring to your space. And we were discussing this model of events, fairs, that can help people to show themselves, to be visible, and also to see what are possibilities in your local communities. Again, all of organizations inside ECHN are different topics. Some are working with textiles, some are Fab Labs. It's really interesting what people, if there is some expert in Fab Lab, for example, in 3D cutting, 3D printing in your city, and this can be really useful for everyone. So this kind of events that can show what is there, how people can collaborate, what are opportunities are really important, and this is something that could be really good for everyone.
Is this something that you have, like your database of the professionals, or if this is being addressed so far, like the people available to work and their skills and their potential? So
yeah, it's actually also a really good question, because now there is no initiative like this which is working on European level. Different countries are dealing this with different approaches. For example, in Slovakia they have this website, I don't remember how it's called, like basically all the organizations that are looking now for some jobs, they're putting it there and they're saying that we are looking for professionals in this and that, and it's like well known, it's run by local cultural network, Antenna, one of the biggest networks that includes most of the cultural organization there.
It's the job boards.
Yeah, exactly. But in Germany, for example, Goethe Institute now takes it over, so they're making this separate website where they gather information, and of course Goethe is a huge organization, it's really different. So of course it depends on what's available in each country.
Okay. I don't know if anyone has questions, or if you want to
I can add a little bit, just working. Yeah. So what I've actually seen after talking to creatives, Ukrainians that left the country, a lot of them left, they're staying here for some time, and they got used to the comfort of being in Ukraine so much that a lot of them don't even have their own Behance, their own portfolio, and anything ready for those situations, because they were well-renowned back home. People knew them, they had contacts, they had connections, they didn't even prepare for those kind of things, obviously. And I also have encountered a couple of websites that are specifically responsible for finding jobs for creatives around Europe, and I think it's working. I've seen that there are many people using those. However, if we're talking specifically about the creative hubs, I think it's really important to just invite people. Just be up there, invite them. They don't necessarily have to start working for the hub, around the hub. They can just, a lot of hubs are just good spaces to work and accommodate people. So there was initiative in Warsaw, I unfortunately forgot the name of it. So they're giving, it's in cooperation with the government, so they're giving making up co-workings for free for Ukrainians. Those are kind of the things that let creatives to work more comfortably.
Yes. This is also one of the things that we promoted in the beginning. So besides the Lighthouse sessions, the other initiative that we started as ECHN was the Open Doors document, which is now live. It's on our website. So we made the open call to all of our members, because we have a lot of members in Europe. So this is our goals, like the thing we can contribute with. And actually people were really responsive. In the first 2 weeks we had 40 people signing up for that, so responding to the Google form. So it was, of course, a voluntary thing. Like whoever could contribute would tell us like how they could contribute with, because of course each one has also different reality, different scale. So of course the bare minimum we were asking was workspace. So that's what we asked them for all of them to provide. And then the list went on to accommodation, logistics, psychological support, childcare, you know, you name it. So all the things that we could come up with that are actually important in this situation. Right now we have in total with the numbers that they said each one could afford to help, because then also we were asking how many people they could provide and support. So in total this meant like 200 spaces in hubs across Europe. So this is something also I want to appreciate. Some of them are here actually, some of the people who responded immediately and immediately said like, yes, of course, we're more than happy to welcome, and each one in their own scale of possibilities and reality did actually a very good job. So this is also something more than welcome to spread within your contacts and your communities, and so we hope that the ripple effect starts going on. And now I would like also to shift a little bit more, as you were saying, and this is something also we're all so much into the situation going on that we often forget to think about the future. And I think also it can be a good taking on what you were saying before, how you envision that like this support and this collaboration could be of use for both of your work and like continuing developing what we're doing so far, and growing and thriving in the future. What we think could be like the kind of support and networking that you could do.
Yeah, first of all, of course, this situation where we appeared in became much closer. It made us much closer to our partners. You know, we have a lot of connections now, building more connections, doing projects, and I'm pretty sure that this is something that will last for you know, forever, for upcoming things that we can do together. And obviously, unfortunately, the war in Ukraine, you know, we don't know when it will end. You know, it might end, you know, next month, or it might end in a couple of years. Unfortunately, it's really hard to predict. But there is so much space for collaboration and mutual projects, and also things that we can do together when, you know, when the war is over. All the reconstruction, restoration, all the future projects. I really believe that we should, you know, do all this rebuilding of Ukraine with the new standards, you know, with all the creativity that hubs and all the really bright individuals in those hubs can bring. And you know, again, it's cynical, but I'm pretty sure that it will be a lot of money to do this, coming from international sources, because it's also beneficial for everyone. So this is, you know, the future when together with our partners from all around the world we will be reconstructing Ukraine, is something that looks like a really good idea and look a really good unifying factor for the whole Europe. You know, we had discussion again with our partners in different organizations, and they're saying that for last months, like this 3-4 months, they haven't seen their societies so united before. You know, everyone is united against to think about what's going on in Ukraine, how to help Ukrainians, and so on. And this can be something good that we can save, preserve, and to carry on to the future.
I would agree with Mykhailo completely. Just to add on, 2014 we had Maidan, the revolution of dignity, and people got so mobilized, they worked together, and now really often people that before 2014 14 were working on crappy jobs. They didn't like their manager, but they had some internal potential. Now they're like engineering some crazy windmills or whatever, like doing some crazy project that they always wanted to, because they realized that they have the capabilities and they can do that. And now what we saw from the 24th of February kind of has a similar effect. Just those people cannot do it yet, but they will sure do it later on. And you're right that there will be tons of money, and it's just how we're going to use that money, and that we are not going to go to the bad means, and if it's going to be used most effectively, creatively, and there's going to be like this creative economy all around the country. Plus, one more thing is, I was personally quite worried how Ukrainians are going to be perceived outside of Ukraine, in Europe, because the girls from Vicha were right. They said that it's the best that are now in Ukraine. No offense to any of us Ukrainians here, but the best people stay. And so far, I'm thankful to all the Europeans, but I really hope that it's going to stay that way, that Ukrainians are going to be welcomed, and instead of being here as refugees or any other word you want to call it, that we are going to be just hosted in here for a while and being able to express ourselves and push the maximum capacities of potential. Yeah.
I would now open for anyone who wants to ask some questions or contribute or leave your comments. Andrei. It's like nodding.
I may give an example where people are getting ready to ask something. Yeah, well, I mean, for example, there is an initiative of Ukrainian architects working with Dutch architects and some other people from around the world to start considering, how to rebuild cities. And it's really, it's a really great example. It's already a collaborative project. It's really innovative, and it's something that, we should be implemented as soon as possible. So it's a really good example of things that are already targeted to future.
Yes, I think the name is Rebuild Ukraine. I think it's the name of the project. So they did release an open call for all architects to envision how they would see the renovation of the buildings that were now torn down during the war. And then the response, and they did 2 weeks or 3 weeks, for people to present, of course, conceptual ideas and all of that. But then I think in the end it was so successful that so many architects wanted to participate that then they extended the application limits 2 weeks later, and then after the 2 weeks they decided they're no longer closing the applications because they still had ongoing submissions and people who said okay, we cannot do it now because we have other projects running, but we want to participate. So it's quite interesting for those who want to take a look. It's called Rebuild Ukraine. It has some and I think this is also something that you need in right now. It's this. It's a bit of this hope and vision and looking forward for okay, how can it look like? How can it be in the near future? So can we go on to the second question because the first one is too hard.
I just wanted to contribute someone. I completely agree with you guys, and the thing is that the war, which is the big tragedy, from another side made a big push for a lot of Ukrainians to go to Europe, so new connections are created, new help, new friends, and of course after the war will be ended, it will end one day and we will win for sure. But one day when these people will come back to Ukraine with the new connections, with new knowledges, with new abilities, with new networks, and a lot of people who previously were hosting Ukrainian people abroad, they will be also very welcomed to make their own projects. So this is how it works actually. So we're of course grateful to all the people who are helping and going on or planning to help. Just feel free to step in. And by the way, one another thing, Vasilius yesterday was telling about that the role of the creative hubs and the communities are growing. And so in this way, this networking can be really grow like to step forward to say that really creative hubs on this level, and especially this situation, really can take a big role in the future renovation of Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrei. I'm not sure. I think we can go on maybe to a more. I think the discussion will continue probably more naturally because everyone, I think, is with has this blog to make remarks in this setting. Thank you so much again for joining us today, for sharing your stories and giving us. I think it was a great learning and inspiring process for all of us here. And we'll continue in the Kiosk Radio, and Slava Ukraine.
Thank you so much.